Hello, hello everyone. Welcome to the Conservative Mama Vlog News Special Show. We need to come up with a good name, Rob. Here I am with Rob Hix. He's behind the scenes, the producer for Hixvideo. And we're live. We're live. So if I mess this up, it's live. So, okay, get in here. Hey guys. Welcome. I see you on Facebook. Hello, Joe. What's up, Sydney? How's it going? KL, get in here. Hey, Dave. Hello from Michigan. Hey, Utah. Hello, Leslie, Kansas. Get in here, guys. Welcome. I'm so glad you're joining. We've got a special show today. This show, just to let you guys know, a while back, I kind of threw it out there like, hey, if you're thinking about sponsoring the show, if you're interested, let me know. And I actually was contacted by Americans for Limited Government. Check out their Facebook website. They're on Twitter as well. I think they're starting up an Instagram where I'll be kind of sharing my videos there as well. But their YouTube, they're all over the place. But they've got a lot of things going. I've partnered up with them. And I'm super, super excited because they actually have sent me a guest to interview in a few minutes. So you're going to see interviewing Conservative Mama. It's a whole nother side of me you guys have never seen. So, pretty excited. just wait. So let's start this show off. I'm super excited you guys are on. Hello from Louisiana, Mary, California. How are you guys doing with all those fires? I happened to see, like I posted it earlier. Did you guys see that? An arsonist, like literally an arsonist lighting a fire. And at the same time, we hear Gavin Newsom talking climate change. Maybe the arsonist's name is Climate and last name Change. That would be a good parody. Hello, he's like, hey, my name's Climate, last name Change. I've been starting some fires around the United States. I could see that as a parody. Just saying, just a thought. I don't know. I'm busy. I don't know if I have time to do that. But anyways, let's start off because last week was funny because I could hear the liberal tears hitting the floor. Not just once, but twice. The president of the United States, Donald Trump, was nominated twice for a Nobel Peace Prize. Twice. Not just once. The first time it was like, oh my gosh, what are liberals going to do? How's the media going to spin this? And then it happened a second time. And it's just it's like, getting hit and then just bam, the other hit knocks you out. That's kind of what happened last week to the liberal media that hates the president. Super exciting. He got nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, brokering a deal between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. And then he also got nominated for a peace deal brokering a relationship between Serbia and Kosovo and the United States. So the Trump administration spearheaded talks between the leaders of Serbia and Kosovo with the Balkan states agreeing to normalize economic relations in meetings at the White House last week. And so a guy from Norway, he's actually the leader of Norway's NATO delegation. His name's Christian Tybring-Gjedal, I think his name is. He nominated the president. I'm sure he's getting a lot of heat from the tolerant left, but he nominated the president. And then another guy came in out of nowhere. His name's Magnus Jacobson, and he stated, I have nominated the United States government and Kosovo and Serbia for the Nobel Peace Prize for their joint work for peace and economic development through the cooperation agreement signed at the White House. Trade and communications are important building blocks for peace. So, what's interesting is when Trump, do you guys remember this? Trump, when after Trump was elected, literally it was like, he's going to start a war. The Middle East is going to just burn. It's going to be terrible. And North Korea is going to be shooting off rockets. And it's going to, oh my gosh, World War III is coming. You guys just voted in World War III. Do you guys remember that? Because I vividly remember the left telling us that World War III was coming because President Trump was elected. Do you guys remember that? First of all, we've had no wars We have not gone to war for the first time in 40 years because of the Trump administration. We haven't even had any kind of armed conflict with any other nations for the first time in 40 years because of this president's policies. Okay, so he changed the whole thing up. I mean, this is groundbreaking. I mean, ever since Carter, we've been hearing about how we need peace in the Middle East, and it's actually happening. And do you hear anybody talking about it outside of me and other conservative outlets? No, you're not going to hear from anybody else because they don't want to talk about it. But that happened. Your children are safer in a Trump presidency than they have been in 40 years. Right now, my kids are safer under this president than any president prior for the last 40 years. We've had peace. Okay, it's a volatile world out there. Nukes are becoming common. We want peace. You don't want to go to war right now in the technology world we're in right now. So thank God for this administration. Thank God for the policies of peace that he's implemented. So note to that when you're voting this November. Okay. Also, want to quickly talk about, this is just heartbreaking, and I'm sure it's been viral. Everyone's talking about it. These two LA police officers. It's so disturbing. I watched the video. I'm not going to share the video, but this guy walks up to a police car. In it is a 31-year-old mother with who has a 6-year-old son and a 24-year-old man. They were both shot in the head. We don't know who the guy is, and he bolted. And this is the thing: the left has created an environment where now police are being hunted down and killed. I mean, these guys are, thank God they're in stable condition right now. It's absolutely a miracle that these people are alive, that these police officers are alive. Thank God for that. Continue to put them in your prayers and pray for them. But the left has created an environment where police are the bad guys. I mean, how twisted is this? Where we now have police officers sitting in their cars and they have to be like on guard that at any point someone could come up and start shooting at them. That's terrifying. And that's terrifying for any wife or or a husband or spouse of a police officer. God bless you guys. Seriously, I just want to give a shout out to all you police officers. I support you. We support you. We're thankful for you. And the sacrifice that your family has to go through, because I would have a pit in my stomach every single time if my husband was a police officer going out. That would just, because you don't know, especially in this environment that's been created, defunding police, it's anarchy that's been loosed across our nation right now in Democrat-run cities. Let's be very clear. This is happening in Democrat-run cities. It's very concerning. And it's clear when you look at the two candidates, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, who's the candidate for law and order? Who's the candidate that's being endorsed and supported by the police? Donald Trump. So again, think of that this November 3rd. And just let's know, Trump was the first to come out and condemn this, almost immediately, just came out hard. Let's get this guy, whoever did this to these police, it's absolutely horrible. Totally condemned it. Later, Biden comes out, probably after his staff wrote something for him to read. And then Kamala Harris, just so you guys know, still has not said anything about this. She's not said anything about this. Is that the kind of leader you want in the White House, where police officers are gunned down and the head of our country doesn't condemn this? So where is Kamala? Honestly, where is she? There should be some kind of statement on this horrendous act, and she's not said a thing. I keep scrolling through her Twitter, waiting for some kind of, I'm like, she's got to say something. Nothing. It's disgusting. Also, the sheriff there, they put out $100,000 reward for the suspect. And the sheriff, the LA sheriff, has challenged LeBron James to match the reward because LeBron James, huge Black Lives Matter, defund the police guy, tough guy. I would like to see his home. I'm sure it has armed security there. I'm sure it's gated. I'm sure he's got cameras everywhere protecting him. but not us lowly folks. But I'm sure multi-million-dollar LeBron James, he's not said a thing about this either, but he's the one that's saying that they're just being gunned down by police officers. So if you're a Black person and you're hearing LeBron James say, "Hey, they're just gunning you down," that pushes a narrative, and he's got to watch what you say, because I think that definitely contributes to stuff like this happening. Also, I'm just flying through here because I want to get to my guest. Just a quick note, Rob. I didn't even mention this to you when we were kind of prepping for the show. There's like rumors of Joe Biden right now. Okay, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but I've been saying for a while, I don't think Joe Biden is going to debate Trump. People are like you've got to debate Trump. I don't think he's going to do it just because he physically can't do it. I mean, if you watched any video, any statements by Joe, he's declining, to put it nicely. Like I mentioned, also my grandmother suffered from dementia. It was horrible to watch. I'm seeing total and complete signs of it in Joe Biden. I don't think he's going to debate, but people are saying, well, the rumor now is that his staff is going to push for a virtual debate. And then they can cheat, like they'll have like answers on the teleprompters. They'll have a piece in his ear. It'll be like, who knows? They could probably have someone talk for him with all the technology we have today. But my thing is, I don't think the American people are going to buy it because, yes, Joe has been in his basement, but he's come out a few times. So if you're absolutely terrified that you're going to get the virus, you're going to get COVID, you would not have left your house at all. Now, like I said, he's been in his basement 90% of the time. But just for example, he's going down to Florida today. He's like literally like trailing Trump. Trump was in Florida yesterday. Biden, Trump went to Wisconsin and Biden's like following him. They're like literally just copying what Trump does. Biden campaign found that their numbers were starting to tank in Florida. So they're like, we got to head to Florida. So Biden has headed down there. If he was really scared of COVID, he'd be like, no, I can't. I got to go back into my basement. So there's no way that if you're a thinking person at all, that you're going to be like, yeah, he can go campaign in Florida, but he can't go on a stage and be 12 feet apart from his opponent and speak. No, not buying it. So don't let them pull that. Okay, this kind of leads into my guest, my special guest. You guys have probably seen this. I think it was Friday. Disney has put out Mulan, like the new Mulan movie, right? And they released it on their channel or something. They have a channel. And they're getting like huge criticism because in their credits, they thank the Chinese Communist Party. It's just like, what? And they happen to film near concentration camps. Okay, so they're filming Mulan. There's even some people saying that in one of the scenes you can actually see one of the concentration camps. I don't know if that's true, but I'm not going to watch the film. But that's what someone has said, like you could actually see it. So they're facing huge criticism that they're thanking the Chinese Communist Party that's actually putting people in concentration camps. The Chinese Communist Party is bad. Okay, when I talk China, and like I mentioned earlier, this show is sponsored by Americans for Limited Government. I always get those two mixed up. Americans for Limited Government, and we are specifically focusing on China because people are not aware of China's role in our country and China's role in our world. And it is absolutely crucial that parents get informed on this issue. It should be like a talking point. It should be like, well, where do you stand on the First Amendment? This is where I stand. Where do you stand on the Second Amendment? Let's talk about abortion. Let's talk about China. China is that big of an issue that it should be one of our top 10 talking points when we begin to discuss the issues of why we're voting and where we stand on these policies and issues. So it's so important that we do this. And with that, I would like to introduce to you Catherine Mortenson. She is with Americans for Limited Government. She is their vice president of communications. She's Miss Fancy. She's out in DC doing her thing. She's also a mother, and she's highly informed on this. We connected on social media. She's seen a few of my videos. And Catherine, welcome. I'm so excited to have you on. Okay, cool. So Catherine, let's just start with kind of what you do for Americans for Limited Government, and how China has kind of struck your heart and why you're starting to speak up on this issue as well.
Hi, thank you so much, Rachel. I love the videos that I've seen you put out so far about China. I love how you're really directing them towards moms, which, like you said, I am a total demo for your audience. Like, I'm the typical suburban mom with kids, and I know how busy we moms are. Like, most of the time, I'm totally just overstressed and feeling like I'm underwater, overwhelmed, and I hardly have time to keep up with what's going on. And so trying to get to busy moms and get a message to moms is really, really hard. Like, for me, like, the best way to reach me, if you have a message, is to tell me how it's going to impact my children or my family in some way. And then you've got my attention. And right. I noticed that is what you're doing. Like, you've been talking to your audience about Moulin Rouge Mulan. Yeah. And that's something that I get, because I'm like, yeah, those are the kinds of shows I used to take my kids to. And I'm like, right. What's going on? And suddenly you've got my attention. And right. I think that that's what Americans for Limited Government is trying to do, is how do we get the attention of the American people to what is going on with China, and how things that we are doing here as Americans, how we are in some cases unwittingly supporting and enabling some of those abuses that are happening in China. And that's what I have been trying to shine a light on at Americans for Limited Government is, hold on, folks, there are some really bad things happening in China, and we may be helping to fund it in some cases.
Right. Well, what a lot of people think is, like, when we talk China, they're like, oh, China, like, they're way over there. They have nothing to do with any of us here. And so when I started to dive into this, and I realized how they are buying up land across our country, how they're buying up toll roads, how they control almost all the ports in our world. That was like, what? You know, and they do not hold the same values that we hold. They are not freedom lovers. Okay. And the way they persecute people of faith, and to think like we're giving them control of our country, and that directly impacts them being given control of our children and their future. And I mean, me, we love our kids. Like, so it's like, I don't want my kids to be owned by China. I don't want my kids to be controlled by China. I don't want China to be taking all of our jobs and everything that we hold dear away, because they hold such a giant grasp on everything. I mean, they're grabbing up everything. And even when you look at Hollywood, they own a lot of Hollywood. And so all of this is a huge concern. So I wanted to ask you, because you wrote an article, and I'd love for people to read this article that you wrote, Catherine, because at the end, like, I'm like tearing up. It was by the Daily Torch, and it just addressed specifically what these concentration camps are doing and who is in them. So could you just kind of tell the audience, like, just kind of give them a brief story of who the Uyghurs are? And
right. So what we know, because the U.S. government has done exhaustive research, and they have shown that there are concentration camps in certain regions of China. The region is the Xinjiang region. That's where there's a group of people called the Uyghurs. And what they are Muslim Chinese. And they are, up to 1 million of them are in forced concentration camps where they are forced to work. And their work products are then exported to the United States. Things like cotton. They also grow a lot of tomato, and tomato-based products come from that region. And a lot of this is produced in these concentration camps that the Uyghurs are put into. Often young Uyghur girls are go through forced sterilization, or they are forced into marriages with people outside of their faith, because the Chinese government wants to assimilate the Uyghurs and take away their Muslim identity. And so they've done a lot of very, very terrible things to these Uyghurs. And they just don't get a lot of attention in the United States. And a few weeks ago, when my boss said, hey, I want you to write a story about some of these investments that the United States has in China and why these are harmful and why we need to, divest, get our money out of China. And as you know, Rachel, like it was sort of a big concept. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I, as a mom in Northern Virginia, figure out how to divest from China? That's a little much, right? I'm like, what the heck? I can't do that. But,
it's a little overwhelming.
It's a little overwhelming. So, right, exactly. So I started thinking, well, who's being hurt? Like, why do we have to divest? Who is the victim in all of this? And immediately I realized, okay, it is these Uyghurs. It is these groups of people in these forced work camps. And I don't want to give too much detail about where this business was, but close to where I work, I noticed that there was a business that appeared to be owned by Chinese. I didn't know. At that point, I was sort of vaguely aware of what a Uyghur. Okay. I go in thinking, well, maybe somebody there, I can tell them what I'm working on and they can direct me towards some sort of a group or an organization and help me out.
Right.
I go in and I literally end up talking to a girl behind the counter who is a Uyghur from the Zhejiang region. I tell her what I'm working on and she starts telling me her story. And Rachel, was unbelievable. I mean, all the things that I'd sort of read about that was happening, she was telling me in her own voice. Like, she and her younger sister, she would have been 19, her sister was 14. Her parents got them plane tickets to the United States on some sort of like a travel visa or a tourist visa. Anyway, they ended up getting asylum in the US because I assume there must be a community of Uyghurs here who helped and sponsored them in some way, or anyway. So they've now been here for about 4 or 5 years. Her younger sister is still in high school. They're here basically on their own. And she was telling me about the abuses and the reasons her parents wanted them out of the country was because they knew that their daughters would have no future, no opportunity for education. They might be put into one of these camps. Mm-hmm. So that's why they took this great risk, got them to the United States. And as I was leaving, I wanted to just make sure I really understood that I hadn't misheard in any way. I said, so you're telling me you're never going to see your parents again?
Yeah. It's just terrible.
And looked at, and tears started coming to her eyes. And I pressed her again. I go, really? Like never? She says, never, ever. And she was tearing up and I didn't know what to do. I just gave her a hug because I was overwhelmed. Like, here's a young girl, my daughter's age, who will never see her parents again. And she's afraid that if she even speaks out and uses her name, that the Chinese will find her. So it was very enlightening.
Yeah, that is heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because people don't understand that the people of China cannot openly live their faith. Like, they have to keep it secret. If they don't keep it secret, they're put in concentration camps. I know that Christians there are persecuted. They also have to go underground. So China is not our friend. And when I say China is not our friend, the Communist Party of China is not our friend. The Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, is not our friend. And the fact that we are unwittingly and not knowingly funding this, a lot of people don't know that, Catherine. And like you mentioned it earlier, people's pensions, you mentioned, are funding some of this stuff. Can you kind of mention that to me?
Well, that's exactly it. That is where what happens is you have like a state, you work for the state of Colorado or the federal government or even a private company. Your money gets invested in an index, like a wide range of companies, and you don't always know where your money is. Well, so we have dug into that, and we have found that Americans have about $251 billion with a B, $billion in our pension funds are invested in these Chinese companies. And these Chinese companies, many of them use child labor, slave labor. And I know as Americans, that's definitely not okay with us. Like,
No.
this is not who we are.
Right.
So we want to be aware that our pension funds sometimes are funding these companies.
Right.
And another, so we have worked with the Trump administration, and President Trump has been fabulous. The Trump administration has, through executive order, removed all of the federal pensions. They've divested those from Chinese companies. And we are working with the states to try to get the governors and the state treasurers to similarly divest state pension funds. The State Department is putting universities and college on notice that their endowments are sometimes tied up with Chinese investments. So they're trying to pull those out as well. So there's lots of ways that we can attack this. But like what you're doing, Rachel, is so important. You're letting people know, because most of us really weren't even aware of where, our money was going.
Right. Now, Joe Biden, because another we're obviously Trump against Joe Biden here. Has Joe Biden done anything with the Chinese, or is any kind of ties there? Because you hear stuff about that. I mean, I know stuff about that, but is there anything the audience needs to know about Joe Biden and the Chinese?
Right. Thank you. And I apologize if you hear in the background my
your clock,
grandfather clock. It'll be
okay.
Wait, it's 4:00 here in the East. So
okay,
we just finished. Okay. So Joe Biden has been he's been terrible on this issue. He brokered a sweetheart deal with China when he was vice president that allows Chinese companies access to the U.S. stock markets without complying with all the same regulations that U.S. companies.
Wow.
So what that means is, if you're an American company and you want to be on the New York Stock Exchange, you have to follow all these federal laws in terms of transparency. You have to allow federal regulators access to your books so that they make sure that the value of your company is real. We just don't want a repeat of the Enron disaster from about 15, 20 years ago. So all U.S. companies have to be transparent. China said, no, you can't look at our books. We don't play that way. And Biden was like, okay, he rolled over. I don't know why. He was like, sure, we'll let you come in and play on our stock markets, but we won't, we will have no regulatory authority over your companies. So what that means is, if you're an investor and you've invested in any Chinese company, you really have no idea what the true value of that company is, because the U.S. has no ability to sort of open the kimono, look in behind the scenes to what's going on. And that's the Joe Biden deal.
Wow. I wonder if that was before or after Hunter Biden flew over there and brokered it was a $1.5 billion deal with the Chinese. I'm just curious.
Oh my God. Rachel, that's how it worked. He met with February. It was like 1, 2, and 3. Then Hunter Biden came over within a few months, brokered a deal. He's an investor with this big Chinese hedge fund. So they are related, or they appear to be related to us, because they happened in like a sequence of events. Because why else would Joe roll over and give the Chinese everything? What did he get in exchange? His son was definitely a beneficiary in some way. We know that.
Wow. Well, Catherine, I want to wrap this up because I know you've got to run. But I want you just after hearing all this, because it's like, so much information, and it's a lot to take in as a parent, because you're like, oh my gosh, like concentration camps and pensions, and what does this mean? And what can I do? What can I do as a mom, as a dad, a busy mom and dad? What can we do to have a role and have a say in what happens with China?
I appreciate that. The easiest thing to do is go to our website, divestchinanow.org, just DIVEST, ChinaNow.org. Check it out. And there's ways there that you can contact your lawmakers or get involved with our organization to help at a grassroots level. But I think for a lot of busy moms, if you can just get to the website, it'll give you an easy way to reach out to your lawmakers and let them know that this is something you care about. You don't want your money funding these child labor camps and slave labor. And I think being aware, and then as you've said, the election's coming up. Know that Joe Biden made a sweetheart deal with China that puts our investments at risk.
Wow. Awesome, Catherine. Thank you so much for your time. So thankful for the interview. Catherine Mortenson with Americans for Limited Government. She's the Vice President of Communications there. Just a mom, just sharing her heart and informing us on what's going on with China. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you, Rachel.
Awesome. 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 Well, that was really cool. I mean, I think it's so important for us to be aware of what's going on out there. I think sometimes, like I keep mentioning, moms and dads, we get so busy, we get caught up. We know Trump, Biden, we kind of know where we stand on certain issues, but there's bigger players on the field. This whole thing is so much bigger than just America. There's a lot of globalists involved in this whole thing, and China plays a huge role in the globalization of our world and trying to infiltrate with globalism into our nation. And if you want America free, if you want America to stay free, if you want America to stay America, you're going to vote for America First policies. You're going to vote for pro freedom. You're going to vote for things. You're going to vote for policies that push to have things of products made in America. You're going to push for things that put Americans first. And when I say Americans first, that's like saying I'm pushing. I want my children first. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you, as a mom or dad out there, you want your kids first. You want your kids to have a job. You want your kids to be free. You want your kids to be able to speak freely and not feel threatened or have to go underground for their faith. And I know this sounds like, oh, so draconian, and oh, Rachel, you're being so dramatic. But listen, this is how it happens. It slowly happens when you welcome policies that don't push for individual liberty and freedom. And the Democrat Party does not push for individual liberty and freedom. They push for the group think, group mentality, whatever the group says, whatever the community thinks. Throw out the individual. You're outnumbered. You have to go with what we're saying. And that's what's so beautiful about our Constitution is it says, no, the individual has a say. In America, the individual has a say. And we have to protect that, guys, with everything we've got. So with that, I want to thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I will be putting out another video addressing China tomorrow. And just another thing, I do appreciate sponsors. If you're a sponsor out there and you're looking to sponsor, I'm totally welcome to it. You can email me at rachel@conservativemomma.com. I want to thank Rob Hix, who's behind the scenes. Rob, thank you so much with Hixvideo for producing this. Thankful for you guys. Thankful for my supporters. You guys are awesome. Be blessed. Have a wonderful week, and we will talk soon. Bye, guys.